What's up, guys? I'm BTC. Welcome back to the Respawn, where I answer your questions. Today we're going to be talking about the best team comps, Widowmaker's Ultimate, and how hard is it to actually carry your team. First question, would you do some Paladins in Overwatch hero comparison to put an end to the debate who copied from who? I really like to see your opinion in this matter. So I'm not going to do like a full breakdown of this Overwatch character is similar to this Paladins character for this, and this reason. I don't think I really need to do that. See, all of it kind of stems from Team Fortress. I'm talking the original Team Fortress back in 1996. 22 years ago, it was a mod for Quake. Then a little bit later, Valve bought it up and they turned it into its own standalone game, and then they created the sequel, which is Team Fortress 2, which I'm sure most people are aware of. Now here's the thing, Blizzard has fully admitted that they took ideas and hero concepts from Team Fortress 2, and then they used them in Overwatch. The engineer became Torbjorn. The way that you place, build, and even the looks of the turret were ripped right out of Team Fortress 2. The medic and his healing beam was turned into Mercy. And then, of course, the demo man became Junkrat. I mean, all of these characters were ripped straight out of Team Fortress 2. And then, of course, Paladins did kind of the same thing. They took ideas from Team Fortress 2, but they also took some ideas from Overwatch. But in turn, the people at Blizz have also taken some of those ideas from Paladins as well. And the borrowing isn't just limited to other FPS-style games, it's also games like Dota. For example, Makoa from Paladins and his hook usage is likely copied from Roadhog in Overwatch. But Roadhog isn't the original one to use that hook. Pudge from Dota is the original character to use the hook in that kind of a way. However, the character Pudge was not an original concept, it was based off of the abominations that were in Warcraft 3. So even though the Warcraft 3 abominations didn't actually throw the hook like that, Pudge was the first one to do that. His look and his design was taken from that game. Just everybody copies from everybody. Nobody is innocent. Next up, who would you like to see a cinematic of? I don't really have any particular preference, but if I had to pick one, I would say why Reaper joined Talon. I think that might be a pretty good one to watch, because here you have this person who was a big member of Overwatch / Blackwatch kind of deal, and all of a sudden he's on the other side. I would like to see how all of that kind of went down. So that would be my answer. Also, guys, if you have any questions, comments, or ideas that you'd like to see in the next Respawn video, make sure you leave them down below. Is it good for lower bracket players to play with the current meta, or the basic 2-2-2 would be a better option? So this is entirely dependent on what the meta is and how much coordination is required in order to get it to work. So for example, with the dive comp, which was dominant for about 4 or 5 seasons, you saw all of those characters with high pick rates in Master and Grandmaster. We're talking Winston, D.Va, Tracer, Zenyatta, those sorts of stuff. But as soon as you hit Diamond and start going down, it turned into a more kind of traditional standard lineup, with Reinhardt, a Mercy, maybe a Soldier, all that sort of stuff, you know, the standard comp. The thing is, when a team comp is very dependent on coordination or high amounts of game sense and mechanical skill, then it's going to be good for the high brackets, but it's not going to be really good for those lower brackets. So in that case, you're better off just kind of going with whatever the standard stuff would be and ignoring what is currently the meta. However, now we're into a different phase where Zarya and Hanzo are very much a dominant part, in which case you are going to be benefiting from playing the current meta because Hanzo Zarya is so incredibly powerful, and it doesn't require a massive amount of team coordination. I mean, it's just 2 players. Hey, I'm going to throw out the grab. Okay, I'm going to throw out the dragons. Boom, team wipe. You know, fight is over. It's that sort of situation. So right now, it's okay for the lower bracket players to be playing the meta because it doesn't require all of that kind of coordination and game sense that the dive comp did. what do you think about changing Widowmaker's ultimate? So I do think it has its usefulness, however, it can be pretty limited. So if you're on the attacking team, Widowmaker can use her ult right before the push happens, and you'll know exactly where all the defenders are and how they're likely going to try to defend against the push. It can be incredibly powerful to give your team that sort of knowledge. However, using it on defense doesn't give you that same level of information because you already know where they're coming through. There's usually only 1 or 2 entrances, so you can see them coming through. You know that the majority of the team is going to be there, so you don't really need to see them through the walls because you know where they are. Now, the other thing is if you use it a little too early, then the attacking team might simply stop their attack, stop the push, back up, and wait for the Widow ult to go away, so that way it just doesn't have any usefulness. I don't think the ability needs to be replaced, although it should probably get a tiny buff in some form. Maybe Widowmaker just gets a little bit of a damage boost, or perhaps her entire team gets a tiny damage boost. So we're not talking like 30-40% here, I'm talking like maybe 5% damage boost. Really tiny amount, but just something to give it a little bit more than, oh, you can see them through the walls. Do you think there is a carry fallacy where people feel the need to carry their games? Yes, absolutely. People do feel the need to carry their games quite often. Now, whether or not they're actually doing it is completely different. Most of the time, they're not. Just because you get a nice ultimate or a couple of eliminations right in a row doesn't mean you're carrying the game. The only way for a player to truly carry a match is if they are substantially better than the rest of the players in that match. So we're basically talking about Smurfs at this point. So you take someone who's Grandmaster, you put them into a Platinum game, and they're going to be able to carry it because they can just take out the entire enemy team with very little effort. But for the most part, if you're playing against people that are of a comparable skill level, then you are not going to carry that at all. What's going to happen is your team needs to have more effectiveness than the enemy team, and then you end up winning. This kind of goes into the problem with Overwatch, where it takes 6 players to win a match, but only 1 player to lose a match. So that's kind of like the saying going around. In fact, that's one of the main problems with throwers, is that once you have someone on your team who has determined that he's going to cause your team to lose, then that's pretty much it, because at that point, 99 times out of 100, you're gonna lose the match. So it's certainly possible to carry your team and drag that dead weight over the finish line, but more often than not, it's gonna come down to just whoever is working together more effectively. That's going to be it for this one. Remember to leave your comments, questions, and ideas down below, and maybe you'll get picked for the next respawn. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out my Discord server. Follow me on Twitch and Twitter. The links for that stuff are down below. And remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault. Also, special thanks to all my Patreon supporters for helping to make this all possible. If you'd like to see what kind of cool rewards you can get for supporting the channel, check the links on screen and down below.